the University of Calabar.
Neath the broad expanse of Nigeria's sky stands a school with a vision bright, ever holding the banner of knowledge high. We'll go forward by wisdom's might. All hail to the alma mater. We have come from near and far to unite in Calabar. We'll work to build our alma mater, University of Calabar. May our quest for knowledge in every field have its purpose to serve mankind. With the fervent hope that our efforts yield fruit for all who will come behind. All hail to the alma mater. We have come from near and far to unite in Calabar. We'll work to build our alma mater, University of Calabar. Mighty God, from whom all knowledge comes, let the wisdom in us overflow. May the knowledge gained in our campus sphere guide our steps as we onward go. All hail to the alma mater. We have come from near and far to unite in Calabar. We'll work to build our alma mater, University of Calabar.
Still standing, thank you so much. May I now invite Reverend Father Emmanuel Osari Ero to please step forward and give us an opening prayer.
Let us pray. God our Father, we thank you this day because you're great. Thank you, Father, because you are the knowledge by excellence. Thank you for sharing the knowledge with us, we human beings, especially for our brother and friend, Professor Anthony Eyang. As today, he educates us, the university community, family and friends. We pray that you enable him in all his ways. And for us, grant us an attentive heart and mind that we would listen and learn even from the lower kingdom. We ask this to Christ our Lord.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
May I formally welcome us to the 148th Inaugural Lecture of the University of Calabar. As we all know, Inaugural Lecture is a forum where professors demonstrate their contributions in their areas of specialty, and is also a forum where they pay their debt by sharing their scholarly contributions. Before we go further, may I recognize members of the high table, but first to be recognized is the Vice-Chancellor of this great institution. She is no other person than Professor Florence Obi. Please put your hands together for her. And may I recognize here present our incoming Vice-Chancellor, Professor Ifeanyi Okoro. Please put your hands together for me. You're welcome, Prof. And may I introduce you here present, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research, Linkages and Collaborations, Professor Peter Chukwuemeka Okafor. Please put your hands together for me. And also to be recognized is a registrar. She is Dr. Mrs. Chukwuka Icha. Please put your hands together for her. You're welcome, ma'am. May I also recognize in our midst the Chairman, Committee of Deans, otherwise known as Dean of Deans. She is Professor Ikaite Eyang. Please put your hands together for her. And the person to unravel the shadow behind the inaugural lecturer, to take up the citation, is no other person than Dr. Godswill. Please put your hands together for him. May I recognize members of the University Governing Council here present, former Vice-Chancellors here present, the Provost, College of Medical Sciences, Professor Gum, please put your hands together. Professor, School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Eyang, please put your hands together for him. He's here. May I recognize the Provost, College of Education, University of Calabar, Professor German Anabugu. Please put your hands together for him. And may I formally introduce to you the 148th Inaugural Lecturer, who is a Professor of Literary Stylistics. He is no other person than Professor Anthony Ebebe Eyang. Please put your hands together for him. We will be properly introduced in the course of this lecture. May I recognize the Dean Faculty of Arts, Professor Chike Opara. Please put your hands together for him, is it? You're welcome, Prof. And also to be recognized, all deans of faculties, directors of institutes, heads of departments and units here present, please, you're all recognized. And may I particularly recognize the Chairman Ceremonial Committee, Emeritus Professor Chris Wamo. Put your hands together for him. And seated very close to him, you have Emeritus Professor Eme Osim. Please put your hands together. And may I recognize all esteemed professors here present and members of Senate, past inaugural lecturers, invited guests, members of the university community, Malabais and Malabraces. Please, you're all recognized. And may I welcome us formally to the 148th Inaugural Lecture, which has as its topic, Wisdom from the Lower Kingdom, the Moral Universe, and Stylistic Paradigms in the Anthropomorphic Literature. I'll try back. Yes, please put your hands together. I think I deserve a small clap. I've just been informed that the former registrar is here present, Mr. Gabriel Igbe. Please put your hands together for him. You're welcome, sir. At this point, may I hand over the microphone to the registrar to please continue with further proceedings of this inaugural lecture as we put our hands together for her.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me now to invite the chairman of this occasion, our mother, and our golden Vice-Chancellor, Professor Florence Banku Obi, to give our opening remarks.
Thank you, my registrar, principal officers of the university, the Vice-Chancellor designate, the inaugural lecturer and his family members, all the provosts, professors, deans, directors, heads of departments, and dear students, very distinguished guests who have come from near and far to be with us this afternoon. On behalf of the University of Calabar management, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this academic feast. Today, by no other person than a principal officer, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Academic, Professor Anthony Ebebe Eyang. Last week, when we met here, I invited all of you to this feast today, and I said, we're going to go on a roller coaster, because we know that this great guy who is going to talk to us about wisdom from the lower kingdom. Wisdom from the lower kingdom is a question. The moral universe and stylistic paradigm in anthropomorphic literature. Now wow, we go hear grammar tire. And I think we are all ready for this grammar. But let the grammar not be such that we will not follow the topic and follow the teaching. We want to understand exactly what it is to have wisdom from the lower kingdom. We really need to follow that. And so I want to urge our distinguished 148th Inaugural Lecturer to know that some of us are not in stylistics or linguistics and stylistic studies, whatever it is. Some of us are in education. Like me, I'm in education, so I came with my phone so that I'll be referring to some of the words. But that is on a lighter note. I am really very happy about the turnout this afternoon, especially looking at my colleagues here wearing red. I want to appreciate each and every one of you for coming out. And it makes me feel that we are really not tired of seeking for knowledge. So every week we come here to seek for knowledge. And we go out, we go back richer than how we came in. And I'm sure that today will not be anything different. Let me, in a very special way, welcome to this inaugural lecture, the Vice-Chancellor, incoming Vice-Chancellor designates, Professor Efanga Ofiong. And when he told me he was coming here today, I said, yes, it's very good for him to come and start seeing how we do these things and start learning the ropes. Welcome, Prof. And on behalf of the management, the staff, and the students, we say once more congratulations. On that note, we want to welcome the registrar again to the podium. Thank you.
At this point, may I invite the citation reader, Dr. Augustine Idong, to read the citation of the 148th Inaugural Lecturer, Professor Anthony Eyang.
Thank you very much. Madam Vice-Chancellor, Deputy Vice-Chancellors, Academic, Administration, Research and Linkages, Chairman, Committee of Deans, the Registrar, members of the University Governing Council and Extended Management, wife of the Inaugural Lecturer, His Excellency the Deputy Governor of Cross River State, and all other protocols duly and meticulously observed. My soul is as deeply touched as my heart is filled with gratitude for the honor and privilege of standing on these hallowed steps, this sacred podium, to make presentation of today's inaugural lecturer, the 148th in the historical chronicles of this ivory tower. Like a breathtaking masterpiece on an artist's canvas, this gallery overflows with unbridled joy and celebratory fervor that fills every corner with warmth and delight. The splendor of charming colors and joyous hearts pays a soulful tribute to a ceremony that honors one of the most cherished sons of the Mbube nation and the University of Calabar. Our presence here is a testament to the profound impact Professor Tony Eyang has had on our lives and the academic community. The atmosphere is electric, resonating with solidarity, admiration and love for a man who has ascended to the pinnacle of academic brilliance. As Shakespeare so eloquently put it, some are born great, some attain greatness, some have greatness thrust upon them.
Prof. Eyang's life embodies all three facets of greatness, a consummate blend that marks him out as a true exemplar of distinction and achievement. With utmost respect, that we may formally acknowledge his remarkable journey and contributions, as well as pay tribute to excellence personified, may I invite our cherished inaugural lecturer, Professor Anthony Eyang, to rise for his citation. The eagle. The eagle's nest, intricately woven with thorns, is a testament to the bird's primal wisdom. It prepares its young for the harsh realities of life, engraving in their consciousness the salient need to navigate the complexities and vicissitudes of survival. And so, in it, the eaglet learns the first lessons of life in toughness, especially the need to be enduring in the face of misfortunes. Similarly, Prof. Tony Eyang's life is a masterclass in resilience. Through the spikes, he has emerged as a towering figure who inspires awe and admiration. Fondly called the eagle, Prof demonstrates that, like this bird of prey, he has been made strong in spirit and will by adversity and hard-hitting conditions of survival in his early years. Regardless of these vagaries, his unwavering strength and determination have enabled him to reach unprecedented heights. The newborn's first cry was a delightful symphony of promise, heralding a life that would bring pride and distinction to the Pempe Mbube people. As the community gathered to celebrate, their joyous songs wove a tapestry of love and welcome, enveloping the family of Mr. Christopher Eyang Anyugu and Mrs. Maduna Eyebe Eyang in euphoria and gratitude. Little did they know, little could they have ever known, that this little child, precious as he was, brimming with the beauty of delicateness and innocence, would grow to become a shining star, illuminating the path for others and leaving an indelible mark on humanity. This last child in the family of 5 would be named after the Saint Anthony of Padua, a prophetic whisper of greatness to come. He would, in the coming decades, just as the illustrious saint, demonstrate undying love and devotion to humanity. Yet, his middle name, Ebebe, meaning nothing, is a philosophically deep, death-preventing name that holds a profound irony. This label belies the treasure within, a clever ruse born of ageless tradition, to hide a precious jewel in an unattractive oyster. Anthony Eyang's birth came when the final cannons of the fratricidal civil war had already boomed and the guns fallen silent. The bloody conflict had left the nation in tatters and despondency. Hence, it was no mere coincidence that he was born at this fragile period, a clear sign that with his birth, hope was infused in the hearts of his people. Growing up would not be so much of an easy task, but the young Anthony proved beyond doubt that he was a boy simmering with the flame of determination, courage, and zeal. And this would not be doused, not even by the strains of the hardship faced. He had his early education at St. Paul's Primary School, Mbube, 1977 to 1983, and proceeded to the much acclaimed Mbube East Secondary School, Oboso Mbube, 1983 to 1989, from which he obtained his WASC with distinction. His time in secondary school marked him out as a prodigy with great prospects, as he excelled in both arts and science subjects, and ranked among the elite students in academic pursuits and other engagements. He stepped onto the grounds of the University of Calabar in 1992 like Jason of old, undaunted by the swirling tides of challenge and resolute in his quest for the golden fleece of knowledge. 4 years later, in 1996, his pursuit bore fruits with the attainment of a Bachelor of Arts degree, graduating with a second-class upper division. Yet, the thirst of the scholar spirit is never easily quenched. Drawn ever closer to the muse's fountain, he advanced with zeal through a master's program, which he completed in 2002. His intellectual flame only burned brighter, as in the same year, he embarked upon a doctoral journey. By 2006, he had not only earned his PhD, but distinguished himself with a thesis that ranked among the finest in the land, shortlisted for the prestigious Nigerian University's Doctoral Thesis Award Scheme. Today, he stands as a versatile scholar whose works echo across the pages of reputable journals, home and abroad. Our celebrant's journey in the world of work has been nothing short of inspiring. In 1998, fresh from his National Youth Service in Benin Kebbi, he ventured into the corridors of broadcasting with the Voice of Nigeria, VON Lagos, serving as a presentation officer. Here, he honed his oratory skills, refining the art of speech and cultivating a voice of confidence and clarity. Later that same year, destiny beckoned him back to the academia, where he was appointed a graduate assistant in the Department of English and Literary Studies, University of Calabar. Since then, he has been lecturing and leaving indelible footprints on time's sands. A quintessential teacher in every respect, he is celebrated by students not only for the brilliance of his delivery, but also for the warmth and fascination of his style, so compelling that many eagerly imitate him. Professor Eyang has been entrusted with a number of public and administrative positions of responsibility, which he has discharged most creditably. He was Coordinator, Use of English, 2007 to 2008, and 2013 to 2014. Secretary of Council, Ogoja Local Government Area, 2008 to 2010. Examinations Officer, Department of English and Literary Studies, 2011 to 2012. Secretary, ASU, Unical Branch, 2012 to 2014. Chairman, ASU, Unical Branch, 2014 to 2019. Deputy Director, Academic Publishing Center, Unical, 2019. Deputy Director, Center for Educational Services, CES, Unical, 2019 to 2020. Member, University of Calabar Governing Council, 2017 to 2021. Dean of Student Affairs, 2020 to 2024. And currently, as we all know, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic of this great university. He has been a university orator since 2018. In all these positions, he has demonstrated sheer excellence, astuteness, dedication, a high level of integrity, and great intellectual acuity. Professor Anthony Eyang is married to his heartthrob, Mrs. Regina Eyang, a superintendent of Corps, SC, a loyal, devoted, and loving wife, a soulmate and mother who is also an accomplished public servant. The happy union is blessed with adorable children. At the heart of Prof. Eyang's success is a strong devotion to his family. He is a fervent husband and father whose commitment to his family's well-being is unwavering, even as he navigates the infinite and adverse demands of his career path. In essence, career responsibilities do not overwhelm his love and dedication to his crown jewel and adorable children. Today's inaugural lecturer is a man who does not fail to create time for social life, as he cherishes moments spent sipping happily from his tumbler of Obor Afal, palm wine, as well as when he deals decisively with poundo and kebumbum, or mfunum, or bichur, or ogbamosu with relish. He would also not let the eroding wave of the Nigerian pop culture relegate him to the fringes, as he shows remarkable currency in crooning to the sonic effervescence of Kiss Daniel, Pato Ranking, Burna Boy, Davido, Mr. Easy, Simi, Ashake, Charlie Poppy, and others alike. This trendy fascination with his ears and nimble feet, however, has not obliterated his love for the ageless and unparalleled rhythm of classical music, reggae, countryside, and high life. And this blend of modern and traditional influences showcases his refined sensibilities, taste, and appreciation of diverse musical genres. Indeed, Prof, your face show, your shoe shine. Professor Eyang's altruistic mien and unswerving compassion embody the spirit of togetherness and complementarity, fostering and strengthening a true sense of community. His live and let live disposition, disarming humility, compassion, and humanism bear testimony to his ideology. On this great day, the 5th of November 2025, I wear this robe for the very first time in public appearance since obtaining my doctoral degree in 2023, as a lasting tribute to a man who has very profoundly shaped my personal growth and intellectual voyage. Deservedly so, this will be etched upon the tablet of my mind and the sands of time forever. Today, our inaugural lecturer summons the consecrated communion of the town's heartbeats and the gown's intellect to service a sustained and timeless bond that continues to elevate our collective humanity and give nobility to the world we all share. Before this august assembly, he stands adorned with the professorial robe of excellence, an apparel that testifies to decades of hard work, dedication, sacrifice, and stout resilience. Without a doubt, he wears this dignifying vestment with steeze and composure. We are honored on this unforgettable day with a titan, a towering figure in academia, a scholar of no mean repute who has traversed the vast expanse of knowledge with unwavering purpose, unflinching passion, and unalloyed distinction, and has emerged with insights that inspire and empower the mind. Here is a man who has risen above the fold and established a niche that is unparalleled. With a gift of eloquence that is both rare and remarkable, he is a celebrated speaker who weaves words masterfully to inform and delight, earning widespread acclaim as an orator par excellence. Whenever he touches words, they turn gold. When he speaks, he sprays the magical dust on his listeners, and this dust is available only seemingly to him, the Prof. This is a man of great intellect and absolute poise. He is indeed a remarkable specimen of a man, an impeccable work of art that breathes, talks, and walks. We have before us today a man who evinces wise counsel whenever he speaks, a man who illuminates every room he steps into with his charisma and aura. As he takes us on a voyage through the lower kingdom, let us have the consciousness that our inaugural lecturer is beautiful as the butterfly, gentle as the lamb, peaceful as the dove, friendly as the dolphin. Yet, ironically, he is strong in will as the lion, industrious as the soldier ants, fearless as the honey badger, visionary as the eagle, and quick to positive action as the peregrine falcon. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to present to you on this auspicious and memorable day a gentleman par excellence, an outstanding administrator, a father, a friend, and a brother to many, an utterly unique teacher. I present to this esteemed assembly of dazzling minds a man of grace, power, purpose, and beauty, a gentleman of poise, charm, elegance, brilliance, and sophistication, a professor of literary stylistics. I present to you the 148th Inaugural Lecturer of this university, Professor Anthony Ebebe Eyang.
Thank you very much, my citation reader. As it said in my place, when I die, you can go to your farm. Because you have done everything. You have actually transformed me into a celestial body. I recognize myself right here. With the power of words, with the power of your insight, with the power of your brain, you have lifted me into a level that I cannot even classify. Thank you very much. If actually this is the impression I have had, I've created in the 6 people I've had the opportunity here to introduce, then I really live in the hearts of people. I've had the opportunity here of introducing the 88th Inaugural Lecturer, the 100th Inaugural Lecturer, the 93rd first before the 100th Inaugural Lecturer, the 126th Inaugural Lecturer, the 135th Inaugural Lecturer, and the 145th Inaugural Lecturer. And if actually each of them feels the way I do now, then I'm really inscribed in their hearts. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Madam Vice-Chancellor and Chairman of this occasion, the Vice-Chancellor designate, and a man whose many years and sacrifices and struggle received the highest accolade on the 31st of October 2025 by his well-deserved appointment, the 12th Vice-Chancellor of the University of Calabar, Professor Ofiong, a comrade and a scholar. The Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research Linkages and Collaborations, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Administration, who is watching on Zoom or participating on Zoom, the Registrar of the University, the Chairman Committee of Deans, the Bursar, and all principal officers, and of course, the Provost of the College of Education, Provost of the College of Medical Sciences, and Provost of the College of Postgraduate Studies. All my colleagues and those who are robed, my senators, my very beloved comrades that have trusted me so much and supported me also, directors of institutes, heads of departments who are here, all academic and non-teaching staff, my Lord spiritual and temporal, members of congregation and convocation, my beloved wife, children, and members of the family, and then the Ekikenjan family here, and guests who have come, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, great Malabites and Malabresses. At this podium, I stand actually very humble and feel most privileged to present the 148th Inaugural Lecture. God has given us a brilliant weather, and I have no reason whatsoever as a mortal to begin to make it hot by way of grammar or any other thing. If I wanted to do so, the warnings that I have had are enough. Also, that it has come from the Vice-Chancellor herself. Otherwise, I'll be seen to be so very recalcitrant. And you know that I'm not like that. Even though I just tried the word now, right? But that's why we went to school, of course. And so when it becomes necessary to put it there, we would not mind, isn't it? Thank you very much. So this place I stand just by the beside the Poor River has been electrified and glorified in history because people of distinction, academics and scholars, have stood here to share with us their intellectual meals that they themselves prepared as a product or a harvest from many years of their exploration of scholarship. So, for me to be here is indeed very humbling. So it is with profound appreciation. Growing up actually in the village, because I'm a village boy, life was a little jerky because of the hassles in secondary school, not being able to pay fees, and my teachers coming to my rescue a number of times. We're going to talk about that later. But one thing I found most profound as a young man growing up with an impressionable mind were the proverbs that were used. And I saw that they were about animals. And I kept wondering, why is it that animals are given or attributed human qualities? How is an animal able to speak? How is a snake able to verbalize thought or even philosophize? Or a goat or a bird, and so on and so forth? It really dazzled me. And so when I came to the University of Calabar in 1992 to start my undergraduate studies, as my citation reader just said, I was asked to write about 50 proverbs from my place. And most of those proverbs are proverbs about animals. That is, they are anthropomorphic proverbs. By that I mean that human qualities are given to animals, given to non-human entities. So the practice of endowing or attributing human qualities to non-human objects or subjects is called anthropomorphism. So it is just a big word for nothing. It is something we can easily live with. And even my topic itself is so simple. Wisdom from the lower kingdom. The moral universe and stylistic paradigms in anthropomorphic literature. In other words, what do we learn from animals? And if we consider animals to belong to the lower kingdom, as we do through religion, through cultural imposition, particularly Western cultural imposition, then how do we learn what comes from them, from animals? By the way that they behave, by the way that they conduct themselves, which makes us, of course, to say, this animal said this animal did this animal is capable of philosophizing. And the philosophy that it espouses or it expresses is consistent with the way that such an animal behaves. I'm not an animal scientist, but as one who is an interpreter of literature, a consumer of literature, just like all of us, it is of significant importance to me that I look at how these proverbs work within the culture, the contributions they make, in strengthening the social fiber, in strengthening morality. In other words, when we talk of wisdom from the lower kingdom, we are talking about what we learn from animals. And the literature that features animals is called anthropomorphic literature. So there is a connection. So it isn't difficult. So I'm really grateful to be here. Why are we even having to talk about anthropomorphic literature and the lessons that we learn from anthropomorphic literature? That is the lessons we learn from the lower kingdom. Before we even talk about whether there is a lower kingdom, let's look at it. We are in a society that is conflicted by a number of problems. And most of the problems we confront, whether here in the University of Calabar or any other university or the general Nigerian university system or in society generally, border on morality. The border on whether we actually care for each other. The border on whether we are prepared to make the sacrifices that we need for the growth, maintenance of our culture, and projection of our own identity. There are questions that have to do with whether we are ready to bequeath the future to the children that we borrow them from, we borrow it from. Those are the things that we are saddled with. So when we talk about poor leadership, when we talk about poor followership, when we talk about the moral crisis, embezzlement, and so on and so forth, including cybercrime and other forms of criminality that would make us appear to be hurting ourselves in a way that animals don't, then it means we really have a lot to learn from animals. So our society is actually troubled, as we know. We have a responsibility as scholars, and those who can, of course, we all consume literature. Literature is common in every society because it is through literature, which is realized through language, that we are able to project those moral principles, those values that are so central to the trajectory of the society. So if we learn from animals, this is what I'm saying in this lecture, we can better affirm our readiness that we can be each other's keeper. So the literary artist has the duty that we all should share in. That is, to be concerned about our moral principles and our moral values. And of course, as I have stated here, art mirrors society. Yes, the work of art generally. And when I talk about work of art, I don't mean only the one that is written just like the Things Fall Apart or other things that mirror society, talk about moral issues and so on and so forth. It is that literature shapes society. And it is through language that literature, is realized. So it means that literature and language have a mutual relationship, a symbiotic relationship. I wouldn't want to go into talking about what language is so much in this lecture, because we have a lot to do in terms of looking at examples of anthropomorphic literature. That is, examples of animals that have been featured in literature, how they are featured, what they do, what they say, or what we attribute to them as saying. So, but it is important to just say that language remains the only vehicle through which we can express, the mind can express its resources. It is the platform through which we can generate and transmit our values, social values. It is also the means through which we share our feelings. I know that feelings can also be shared by way of extra linguistic communication. That is by gesticulation and so on and so forth. So, can there be wisdom from a lower kingdom? Yes. Wisdom itself, as we know, is fluid. Yes, because what could be wisdom to one person or one community may not be wisdom to another person or another community. When in Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, we are told that a man who is or the coward stands in his own house to point at the ruins of a brave man. What does that mean? It is that there is wisdom in cowardice. But it is a matter of when you consider most appropriate for that to be expressed. So it is through language, actually, that all of these can be projected. It is also through literature that this finds expression, when characters confront each other, and also in our folk tales and myths and legends, and of course, other forms such as proverbs, adages, and sayings. Every community has got such sayings. So literature, much as it enables, language, as much as it enables literature to be realized, also feeds literature. It makes literature more beautiful. Yeah, so is there a lower kingdom? Yeah, because man actually has operated as if he is the center of the universe and relegates all other non-human entities and non-human animals, I should say, to a lower kingdom. That is, man is so conceited, man feels so arrogant. And of course, God has even said it, or given an injunction that man should learn from beasts. He should learn, when I mean man, of course, I mean generic man. He should learn from the birds. He should also learn from the earth. He should learn from the fishes. So it means that there is much that can come from our kingdom. So evolution has actually privileged man, not only with intelligence, but also with the ability to handle tools, to exploit the environment, to have language. And language, of course, as we said, is very unique to man. So religion has actually been seen in anthropomorphic terms. By that I mean it is that we look at God, we look at any deity as having a human form. And that's why we say that God has eyes to see, he has a heart to feel, and he has just what man has. So when we are told that we are made in God's own image, it may not actually be that in physical form, but that is the only way that we can think of God, in human form. That's why we see God as having eyes, as having a heart, and having all of that. So the presumption of human exceptionalism, that is, man is supreme over all other living entities on earth, is at the core of what is described as anthropocentrism. Anthropocentrism, which looks at man as the center of the world, the center of the universe. And this arrogance that comes with man as the center of the universe, in which all the other aspects of nature are for his utilization, are for his pleasure, is a kind of belief that has also fueled the arrogance that expresses itself as segregation, colonialism, slavery. For example, if you want to to exploit someone, you first have to locate them within a certain class not deserving of such rights or such privileges. And of course, it is this kind of privilege that colonialism, first slavery for hundreds of years, and colonialism. Now, this feeling of man being supreme and preeminent also feels impunity that comes with the way we even approach the environment. So we hug the environment, feeling that everything that has to do with nature is under man. We destroy the rainforest, pollute the air, drive a species extinction, and declare a biodiversity. So the belief is further sustained by the following tenets. That's the belief that man is supreme, which we call anthropocentrism. It's further sustained by the fact that man is in the image of God, created in the image of God. Humans have no soul, animals no soul, and they have no right, and all of nature is for human consumption. So Shakespeare looks at this arrogance as hubris, and has a lot of characters in his plays to exemplify this. In Julius Caesar, for example, we have Julius Caesar as the tragic hero, who is so boastful and not ready to listen to good counsel. And so what happens? When he's approached, in order to reverse his mind or rethink a particular decision, he comes and boastfully says, and I quote, "I am as constant as the northern star, whose true fixed and resting qualities there is no fellow in the firmament. The sky is painted with unnumbered sparks. They are all fire, and each one doth shine. Yet in the number there is but one that unassailably holds his rank, and beats his chest and says, and that I am he." Just being approached to reconsider a decision. And of course we know what happened to Julius Caesar in the end. Yes. So the first part of this lecture, Wisdom from the Lower Kingdom, is a question mark. Because we ask, is there actually a lower kingdom? Now, it is not important to me whether there is a lower kingdom or not. It is that wisdom can come from any source. I remember, on getting my PhD, for example, in 2006, few members sat with me to celebrate. And a man who was barely literate walked up to me and said, "Young man, I hear now that you have been given a red cap in the university. In other words, that I have a PhD. I want you to know that while you will know from A to Z, you will not know from Z to A. If you know Z to A, please." He read from Z to A. And when I told him it was not necessary for me to read from Z to A, he asked me why I could walk backward. And of course, is there anyone here who does not walk backward? Sometimes we even run backward. That is it. So it is that wisdom can come from where it can also come from people who may not be very privileged. It can even come from animals. The second part of the title of the lecture, The Moral Universe and Stylistic Paradigms in Anthropomorphic Literature, is affirmation of what I have said. That from what we learn, animals, we can build, we can firm up our moral principles. So now, there are other theoretical issues I would just like to gloss over so that we'll have sufficient time to talk about concrete instances, particularly in our cultures, of what animals have said and what animals have, what roles animals play in our fables. It's also look at the concept of style very briefly and stylistics. When we talk about style, we're talking about the manner in which a certain user of language, uses it. The manner in which language is deployed by a certain writer or a certain speaker. And what informs what someone says, or the manner in which the person says it, has to do with the occasion or the degree of formality. It has to do with the person's individuality. As me, Tony Eyang, for example, I would speak differently from some other person because that's me. It would also have to do with the function, the intention that I want to use language for. It also has to do with what my background is. That influences the way I use language. It will also have to do with the medium. Is it a poem? Is it just a story? Or you're just sharing what happened before you got to this 148th Inaugural Lecture? So all of this, and it has to also do with what the time is. Like when I was introduced by my citation reader, he made some contemporary, slangs. He used some contemporary slangs. Your face they show. Did you not hear that? And so on. So my shoe they shine. And I looked at my shoes again to see if they were shining. At a point I almost hit my shoe because I didn't think it was shining along. But when I saw that my colleagues here could not see my shoes, I just felt happy. But now they can see it, and I have nowhere to hide. So I want to thank you. So when we talk about how, we talk about stylistics, we are talking about how how style is analyzed. The analysis of style, the study of style. Yes. When someone uses anthropomorphic literature or medium, that is using animals as a medium, to communicate ideas in a very effective way. It is that person's style. So it is what you want to say, for example, that would determine. For example, when I got to the university, a lot of people, particularly my classmates and even teachers, felt I should not have read English. I should have read law, or I should even have read medicine or engineering and all of that. But I loved English, and I found myself here. So it is what in our own place, of course, Kajuan the best says. It is wherever the wind has blown me to, is where I had intended to go. And so if you have found yourself here or wherever, please make the best use of the opportunity. Well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about morality and literature anymore, because every literary work, particularly in Africa, of course, has something to offer to society. It does not just reflect society. There's something didactic about it. There's something about society it is trying to draw your attention or draw our attention to. What is most especially our moral consciousness is what literature is. So there is this connection between literature and language, because it is through language that literature is realized. And there is also a connection between literature and society, because literature is influenced by society. It's a reflection of society. But at the same time, literature also has to do with what happens in society. And it is because of the influence of literature that books are banned. You have I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, Color Purple by Alice Walker. We have George Orwell's 1948, 1984, which was actually written in 1948, as books that are banned, of course, the one by Salman Rushdie, Satanic Verses. So there is that connection between literature and language, between language and society, between literature and society. So it's a tripodal relationship that is very important. So we get to, well, as I've said earlier, anthropomorphism itself is the act of endowing human qualities to non-human entities. It is something that, of course, is sustained, made possible by an appeal to you to not to doubt. That is what ST College calls you suspend your disbelief willingly. Willing suspension of disbelief. We know that animals don't speak. We know that animals don't have the capacity to philosophize. Then we are enjoined not to question when we see animals in action, and so on and so forth. So I will just leave those theoretical issues, but just let me say something about cultural wisdom, anthropomorphism, and social relevance in a postmodern world. Then we get into our aphorisms, get into our stories, and as we move on. Cultural wisdom actually has to do with the totality of the knowledge that a society has. It is that knowledge that helps the society in maintaining itself. It has to do with the knowledge about how food is produced. It has to do also about how we marry, how we say goodbye to our dead, or how we even welcome new ones. All such knowledge, including our beliefs, has to do with cultural wisdom. It is knowledge that is lived. It is knowledge that is practiced. It is knowledge that is transmitted from generation to generation. Otherwise, how do other generations get to know that these are the values of a certain community or of a certain society? It is through stories, it is through the use of language, it is through literature that these values are projected. So literature and language are projectors of moral values and are enhancers of the cultural knowledge of every given society. So we now get into some examples of anthropomorphic literature. The earliest examples of anthropomorphic literature was in the 5th century BC by Aesop, spelled A-E-S-O-P. Are we there? Aesop fables. If you just Google Aesop fables, you are going to get quite a number of them. And they illustrate how animals teach us and what they teach us. They teach us courage, they teach us sacrifice, they teach us resilience and foresight. So Africa has a rich pool of such folk tales and other fables generally, adages. These actually help in projecting our moral standing. The African folklore is the storehouse of African cultural wisdom. It is considerably rich with concerns of the African people. And fables, myths, legends, proverbs, and adages are rich sources of social acculturation. Because as you grow, especially as you grow in any society, you come across things that are allowed and things that are not allowed. And so it is in every culture. Now, I just share one example with you of a West Indian text by Derek Walcott. Derek Walcott was a Nobel laureate for literature. Yes, from the West Indies. Yes, he has a text, The Jinn and His Brothers. It is a story of 3 brothers and a mother who live by a mountain forest and are tempted by the devil. The devil comes out to tempt them because he feels bored by his immortality and wants to have human emotions of laughter, of even anger, and so on. So he decides to throw a test to 3 brothers, the Jinn and his brothers. One is Grosjean, who is huge, is muscular, believes in his muscles. And this is the test, that whoever gets him angry will have a reward. But whoever he gets angry, the devil gets angry, will be devoured. And of course, these 3 brothers have no opportunity of saying no to the challenge. The first one, Grosjean, believing in his powers, in his muscles, takes off on the journey. And then he meets animals, frogs, fireflies, birds, that try to whisper something to him about the danger of that vision and what he has to do to avoid, being devoured by the devil. He decides to ignore them and continues. And then he meets a planter who employs him in a sugarcane plantation. And there he's overworked. His name is forgotten each time. He gets angry because he's been overworked and cannot be paid. And the devil devours him. The second one, called Mijin, who believes also in his intellect. This one is very intelligent. Yes, takes off on the journey. As he sees the animal who approach him, he gets angry and says they should stay in their station. They are lowly creatures of this world, and continues. And as he gets to the field, he is to tie a goat he is employed again by a planter, who is the devil in disguise. And he decides this time to keep quiet, so that he will not be tempted. But as he's asked to tie a goat, he is told that, look, even that goat you are tying, he is more philosophical than you. He gets angry and is devoured by the devil. Then the third brother, teaching. As he sets off on the journey, he meets those animals. He approaches the animals very friendly. And they tell him, please, as you go, this is what you will have to do to avoid ending up like your brothers. He listens to them. He appreciates them. And when he gets employed in the plantation, he is asked to tie up a goat that is always escaping each time it is tied down. And as he does that, as he tries to do that, an idea comes that let him castrate his goat. He castrates the goat. Then he's asked again by the person who has employed him to count all the canes in the plantation. He said instead of doing that, he will burn the whole place, knowing that someone will get angry. And of course, it will be the devil. So the devil actually gets angry and rewards him. And we are told that that is why. I don't think that is a reward from the devil anyway. That is why if you look at the moon, I don't know if you grew up in the village there and what you were saying each time you saw a full moon. In my place, Mbube, it is one man carrying firewood, led by a dog. It is a commoner who is in the moon. Oh. Yes. And there is one from the lower kingdom who is in the moon. There is a dog, there is a man that's carrying firewood. In the West Indian folktale about how a peasant is in the moon, that peasant is that teaching. And so, the question to us is how do we treat those that may not have the privilege of being in our own station or being at the same level with us? Then, I just share one more fable. This is an Indian fable about a sparrow, a determined sparrow bird that laid its eggs on the side of an ocean. And then it laid its eggs on the side of an ocean, and the waves washed off the eggs. The sparrow bird was very distraught, very sad. It approached the ocean and said, "Oh ocean, please give me back my eggs. They are very precious to me." Of course, the pleas are disregarded by the ocean, the mighty ocean. The bird now threatened, "If you don't give me my eggs, I am going to drain you, O ocean, of all your water." So the ocean laughed. And then the sparrow bird started. It will pick a drop with its small beak, go far afield, and spread it there. It will pick another, go far afield, and spread it there. And people laughed at the foolishness or futility of such an effort by the sparrow bird. But news of the determined sparrow spread and got to higher places. It got to almighty eagle called the Garuda. I see that I was called the eagle, I was called all sorts of animal names, and you clapped. Thank you very much for clapping. But if I was called a goat, would you have clapped? You could also have clapped to mean that the greatest of all time. G-O-A-T, right? So back again for us, sorry. It is that as the king of all the birds, Garuda, heard of the determined sparrow bird, he decided to summon others to come with it to the ocean. And when it got there, it met the sparrow still in its determined effort to empty the ocean of its water. It was touched. He said, "Okay, I'm going to get it now." Garuda, the mighty eagle, approached the ocean and said, "Please give up the birds and the eggs of the sparrow, or I will empty you myself. I will empty you myself." The mighty ocean became afraid and decided to give back the eggs of the sparrow. This is a story of determination. This is also a story of courage. This is a story that tells us that hold on to your dream, and that mighty ocean that constitutes a barrier will be overcome. That's what it tells us. And of course, the people who laugh at you, who mock, thinking that you are engaged in a futile effort, are those that you will have to avoid. And of course, the little bird itself, sparrow, is a symbolism, a metaphor for determination, will, resilience. And that is exactly what we need moving forward. Even in the face of vulnerability, we have to be strong. Yes, so in all of literature across cultures and periods, anthropomorphization of animals is a common and identifiable motive. A motive is a recurrent style or a recurrent theme, a recurrent message in a work of art. We have already looked at the sparrow, we've looked at the intervention of Garuda, but we also have, even amongst us, yes, a lot of texts that are anthropomorphic in nature. Joe Wishe's poetry is which is heavily inflected by social concerns and social awareness, and which talks about the marginalization of the many, or the majority by the few, has a lot of references, to anthropomorphic lessons. That's lessons that we can get from anthropomorphized animals. So in his poems, I won't bother you much with them. We have the thematorium, which is where the termites live. It tells us how organized the termites are. Each person has a responsibility. Yes, and no one is pushed out. But humans, let's build this place together. And let's see if we can all be here. Let's build it together and see if we can all be here. Of course, we can learn from animals. We also have Homo sapiens. In Homo sapiens, of course, the poet poses a lot of questions about what animals do, which reflect that they are coordinated, they are intelligent, and which also shows that humans are we are even unfair in describing what the terrible things we do to each other as beastly. It's not beastly. Beasts haven't done that. Beasts do not have weapons of mass destruction. Yes, beasts, of course, would not, the weapons of mass destruction, nuclear heads and so on, are they meant to fight animals? They're meant to kill human beings, aren't they? Yes. So we really have a lot to learn from animals. And so these characters provide a lot of insight into the complexities of life and the natural world. They teach us valuable lessons about how to navigate challenges and achieve success. All right. Now, having said that, I didn't bother talking about the Aesop tales because they are just there. But there are just few that I would like you to look at. You can look at the hare and the tortoise. Yes, which is a lesson in resilience. You can look at the fox and the crow. Yes, you can also look at the fox and the hedgehog. Yes, there's no time for us to discuss that. If you have the text, you can go through. But now, let us focus on the anthropomorphic literature, particularly adages from my place, Mbube, Nogoja local government area. There are also some that I have collected here, if you have the text, that are from other cultures. But let us look at them. And in looking at them, I will first render them in a bit, and then translate them to English. And then we'll look at the meaning, isn't it? All right. The very first was what I gave you. Please just hold on. I will give you the handout. Okay? Yes. Or you get the textbook. Eh? Yes. All right. That is, Kajopang the bear says, whichever direction that the wind has taken it is what he had intended to, isn't it? Yes. This shows, of course, I've already explained this. Do I need to explain it more? Yes. Wherever you find yourself, make the best use of the opportunity. Do not give excuses. If you are here in the university, as a lot of you have distinguished yourselves, please, it means that you have actually behaved like that Kajopang the bird. Kajopang the bird, actually, why do they say this? It's because a lightweight bird, which is flown a particular direction of the wind each time it is in flight. All right? So wherever the wind takes it to is where it's intended to go. Yes. Then the second is Okurungore, Orunre, Ojuebebela Mwan. Okuru is a bird, and it says that when it gets old, it is suckled by the young. And it is because of the way that bird behaves that this saying is attributed to it. This is an intelligent bird. When it gets old and cannot search for food, fly around to search for food anymore, it goes back to the nest to dwell with its young. It is a wonderful bird. It's so much a statement about life and the need for us to depend on the younger ones. But also it means that we have to invest so that our younger ones will be strong enough to fend for us at old age. Mostly said, maybe by someone in need who goes to a younger one to seek for help. But that's what it means. The details are in the text. I read the third one. The snake says that it does not get filled while on its coils. You're not projecting. And no, you're not projecting the animals. Is that right? A snake does not eat in this while on this state. It has to stretch. So it means you don't have to be in your comfort zone and feel that opportunities will come to you. Get out of your comfort zone. Stretch out. Maybe out of University of Calabar. Something good will come. If you are determined like the sparrow bird. More are ubamba, ubana buber. When the day breaks, it breaks forward. A new challenge for running. Every day has its own challenge. And so, once you are up, know that you have a lot to do. Because every day has a challenge. If you are not able to do the things of today, the ones of tomorrow will catch up with the ones of today, and you will fail. So to avoid that, you must remain conscious of your responsibility. Every hour, especially as a new day starts. So running symbolizes the struggle for survival that each day poses and so on. Then the next, which is on the 5th, is that yes. The Sisifly says it rides through the back of an elephant to cross the river, isn't it? Yes, you must leverage on opportunities you have. But those opportunities will have also come with some effort and some sacrifices. It's not all about just saying, okay, this person is here, I'll go and meet them. No, it is also that you have to make some contributions too, though they are making. Yes. So, then the 6th is, yes, the showing off that is making yanga has to do with enduring pain. And of course, why does the cock say that? If a cock has an infested comb, it attracts flies. And as it attracts flies, it will just be nodding its head. We look at that nodding of the head or interpret that nodding of the head to mean that it is saying no to the removal of the comb that makes it beautiful. Yes, so it means that for you to be successful, you must endure pain, you must make sacrifices. You must decide that I will give up this so that I can get X, Y, Z. I must give up A, B, C. Well, I'll skip 7, it is there. Let me take 8, more red. That the snake says that if it had in its own teeth, women would have used it to bundle firewood. Yes. What does it do? It is that if you cannot act in a way that deters others, they will get into your private space. They will compromise your interest. They will take what belongs to you. So you have to do something to let them know that you can bite. You must have red lines and protect your own space, and protect your own family, protect your spouse, protect your road, and protect yourself. But that does not mean that you have to be selfish. It is only when people or someone begins to prove so that you have to really show. Yeah, that. And of course, related to that is number 9. That banker guarantee, get on, to get them one land committee, to prove that it is not a child in his father's forest. That mongoose, which we call banker, cuts the snake into two. Because the snake feels that it is strong. It's just like maybe a rat or any other rodent. So you can see the context there. And actually, that's one animal that can actually kill a snake with ease, cutting it into two with sharp teeth. It is the same principle here, that you have to show strength when it becomes necessary. But again, it is the time, it is the place, and all of that, the situation that will determine what you do. It is not that because the snake said this, yes, or the mongoose, that is Kapankap, said this, that anybody offends you, are all out to destroy them. So you apply a question of place, question of time, and a question of manner. And then of course we have number 10, yes, it has to touch the nest in order to have venom for an impactful sting. These are, of course, underscoring the need to be back to your home, back to your source of inspiration. If it is to God, if it is to your family, yes, you do not forget them so that they can be venom, so that your journey can be productive and fruitful. Well, we'll leave that and get to number 12. Yes, that is, the tortoise says that it dances very well, but the shell is too thick for people to see its displays. Yes, and of course to show the limitations. Yes, we all have barriers, right? And things that prevent people from seeing how we are actually, the thoughts we're actually making. Yes, sometimes it doesn't show, but just keep going, like that sparrow bird. Yes, well, they will have the one about Nkwamo there, that is the squirrel, and then we have some others. I can go on and on. I'm looking at my time too. Yes, we have a table for those of you who have the lecture text. I don't know. There are quite a number there. I wouldn't have the time to go through all of them. Please get this text, and I think it will be helpful. So what are the lessons, of course, that we've learned from anthropomorphic literature or anthropomorphic aphorisms? These are aphorisms. These are proverbs that are attributed to animals. It is that we learn to exercising courage, taking care of one another, being respectful and reciprocal. Yes, there are some of them that are about respect here that I have not mentioned for lack of time. And then the necessity for deterrence, as we mentioned, the reward for hard work and alertness, ingenious application of knowledge for survival, the danger of listening to flattery and deceit, as we had in the fox and the crow. The crow, of course, a very beautiful bird, picks a piece of cheese from the wilderness and perches on a tree to enjoy its meal, only for the fox to come down, waiting at the bottom of the tree, praising the beauty of the crow and saying, please, is your voice as sweet, as beautiful rather, as your body? So the crow, carried away, decides to show that its voice is as beautiful, and the piece of cheese falls off its mouth and it is devoured by the fox. Yes, the dangers of flattery. The dangers of flattery, and of course being carried away. So now those are the anthropomorphic lessons, the significance of teamwork. We have Kitori, that is Anne saying together they can kill an elephant and all of that. All of these, the complexities of life are better navigated when humans draw lessons from animals. These animal sayings help us. Yes. These animal sayings help us making our ideas concrete. They express cultural wisdom. They are deployed in mediation and conflict resolution. They are used to also canvas or project point of view and to demonstrate ethics, cultural value system. Well, the stylistic paradigms, as I analyzed, I brought them out. That is the way language has been used. The major literary device here is the metaphor. But also the major one another major one rather is personification. We have symbolism and we have all of them. So, Madam Vice-Chancellor, the examples of metaphors are bound in our daily conversation and speech at the Home Office, and interestingly on this podium of inaugural lectures, even from topics of inaugural lectures, we see a highly creative utilization and metaphorization of both thematic and stylistic effects. I've given a number of inaugural lectures here that talk about that. The one by Professor Ipoke, the one by Professor Eswa Orogudose, and every one by the 11th Vice-Chancellor, showing the metaphor, the use of metaphor. So, recommendations. Madam Vice-Chancellor, the foregoing discourse spotlights the imperative of focusing more scholarly attention on original and ethnographic researches for deeper insights into the cultural context and social dynamics that shape literature and are shaped by literature. It is my recommendation that we undertake ethnographic research. I'm also recommending that the oral literature research project that is required of the third-year students in the Department of English and Literary Studies be continued. It's a fine tradition. It allows the students of the third year, to go to their respective communities and, get an art form, write a project on an art form. I also mentioned here that when I came to the university, I was asked to write a number of proverbs. And that can also be done irrespective of discipline. I didn't do that because I was in English and Literary Studies. That was what was required of students across, the faculties and across the disciplines. So that can still be reintroduced. It will reinvigorate interest in the language, indigenous language. It will also help in strengthening the modes of cultural production, especially at a time like this that we have the opportunity of putting it online. So other disciplines can actually think about how the ethnographic researches can be useful. Yes, essentially the digital space can be explored. The Department of English and Literary Studies, that's my department, can also balance the curriculum by placing equal emphasis on language as much as it is in literature. My contributions are as stated there. I have been here for 27 years, the University of Calabar. I've taught and mentored several students, sets of them. I have the opportunity of having here as one of my students, Professor Ebebe Eyang and Professor Romanus Abo. Quite a lot of others. Are they here? Are they here? I'm sure they are, or they are getting themselves very busy with things. Yes, I've mentored quite a number, and the people I have supervised there, community service, we already have that read by the citation reader. My contribution to scholarship has actually been in the exploration of the connection between language and society. Okay, thank you. Sorry for the break. So, my focus in the future is actually to concentrate on this to compile and annotate folklores, folktales, and proverbs and adages, especially in crossover states and neighboring states. My future direction is anchored on the firm belief in the relevance of ethnographic research, the place of orality, and the need for it to be, projected and to be standardized. There should be revival of interest in indigenous languages as expected goals of this intended research. The role of the language or literary scholar to the immediate society is very germane. A conclusion. Through the agency of anthropomorphic literature, the interconnectedness of humans with the natural world is given its due prominence. The trope of anthropomorphism provides a stylistic framework for the articulation of the process and accepted cultural wisdom made special and foregrounded by the defamiliarizing means of attribution to animals as a reflection of the human situation. These aphorisms are very expressive for local knowledge and environment. And they are also very helpful. Our knowledge of anthropomorphism should make us become more conscious of how we explore the environment. At this juncture, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Madam Vice-Chancellor, I would like to ask questions, and if you like, you answer them with me. Do animals kill for sport? Do animals accumulate primitively or gather more than they need? Do animals enslave other animals? Do animals colonize others? Do animals embark on a war of cleansing or wiping out of others? Do animals despise and marginalize their female kind? Do animals mate with same sex? Do animals seek weapons of mass destruction? If animals do not do all of this, then there are deep lessons that they offer humans. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, the wisdom from the lower kingdom can be a moral compass for navigating a way through the labyrinth of our postmodern conflicted times. On these I stand, and on these I rest my case. Sorry, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me just briefly acknowledge, yes, those who have been part of my journey. My journey is a testament to the goodness of the Lord, who has brought me aloft with his grace, and to whom my soul sings a song of praise and thanksgiving. I'm on the knees of my heart to thank God Almighty for leading me to this point of the journey. I thankfully acknowledge my parents and first teachers, Mr. Christopher Eyang and Mrs. Madonna Ebebe Eyang, both of blessed memory, for the effective moral acculturation accorded me in my formative years in the village, Akpabio. Their insistence on hard work, honesty, humility, and sacrifice as a way to a fulfilled life provided me the moral compass for a meaningful adventure. From the core of my soul, I appreciate my teachers at all levels, my education students, whose impact on my life has been tremendous. I had the fortune of being specially loved and cared for by my teachers. I wish to acknowledge Chief Francis Asoka Agbe, Mr. Albert Odu, Sir David Atong, for their fatherly care in the primary school. My experience in the Mbowe Secondary School of Boso Mbowe was a clear manifestation of God's hand on my young head, through the assistance of the teachers. On discovering me as a promising student, they made it a duty that I continue in school despite my inability to pay fees for some terms and even some years. I recall with appreciation the caravan of motorcycles with which they stormed our compound in the village to remind my family of what they stood to lose if they allowed me to drop out of school. I am grateful to Mr. Peter J. O'Kane, whose son, of course, is here, Dr. Paul O'Kane of Physics. I'm happy that he's with me here. I'm also grateful to Peter O'Kane, Mr. Joseph Abwa Jallo, AIG Patrick Ogonedon retired, whose son is my citation reader. He has become my son, my children, his children, and that will continue. I'm also grateful to Honorable Emmanuel Abaraba, Honorable Emmanuel Ejukwa, and Sir Joseph Oman, Joseph Aroman, I beg your pardon, Chief Dominic Randio, too, among others. The love and concern shown me by my teachers propelled my journey to this stage today. I'm deeply grateful to the 11th and first female Vice-Chancellor of the University of Calabar, Professor Florence Banku Obi, for offering me the opportunity of being in her administration to serve the University of Dean of Students as Dean of Students and Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academy. Madam Vice-Chancellor, I will never forget to remember the honor and privilege you have accorded me, through which I might secure a mention in the chronicles of your golden administration of this university. I deeply appreciate my colleagues in the university management who are also the governing council, Professor Grace Inta, my academic mother who taught me through all the levels and who will be watching from where she is. The DVC research, linkages and collaborations, my friend Professor Peter C. Okafo, the registrar Dr. Chukwu Kaicha, the university librarian Professor Anyebe Ntui, the bossa Prince Joseph Odum, my beloved friend who is always armed with his humor and has seriously joked that he will present a lecture on the bossa, an endangered species. I happily acknowledge all the members of the 14th Governing Council under the leadership of the distinguished leadership of DIG Udom Eko Udom OOA. The names are all here. I owe a debt of gratitude to Professor Joseph Akawushe, my mentor. Is he here? Professor Chris Nwamo, Professor Basi Ikriokode, Professor Eka Grade, Professor EDOC, or Professor Emeriti, Professor James Boke, Professor Edeiji for their mentorship and kind assistance. I'm grateful to Professor Kevin Ogoneta, a man whose resolve brought me here, a man who was also born the same day with courage, the 6th Vice-Chancellor of this university. I'm grateful also to His Excellency Professor Ibara Ijemoisu, the 7th Vice-Chancellor, and Professor Zana Akpabio, the 10th Vice-Chancellor of our university. I appreciate the University of Calabar for offering me the platform to be everything that God has permitted. I obtained all my degrees from this institution. Yet, I stretched like the snake. I got employed here, married here, had my children here, raised here. Unical is home to me. I'm grateful, oh Unical. My date with you has no end. I recognize and thank my PhD supervisors, Professor Ako Isienio and Professor Peter Onwudinjo, whose guidance led to an astounding dissertation that was listed among the best and nominated for the Nigerian University Doctoral Thesis Award Scheme, NUTAS, that was won by my beloved friend, Professor Esekon Andresien. I'm grateful to Professor Dele Orishawaye, Professor Julius Enogu, Professor Ebele, mother of multitude, Professor Grace Okereke, whom I was attached to as GA, Dr. Azubike Loje, whose soaring erudition and humanistic fervor were simply inimitable. Professor Eno Grace Inter, Dr. Debisio Swago, Dr. Emilia Oko, Professor Tonia Omore, my HOD then in 2006, Professor Francis Mobu, Professor Stella Ansa, and Professor Stella Ekwe. I also thank Professor Dorothy Luagbemi Jacob, Professor Kire Rojo, Professor Andrew Digumen, Professor Godfrey Ozumba, Professor FMO, and Professor Etagba. I appreciate my colleagues and friends with whom we started the academic career about the same time in 1998. Professor Godwin Okoushe, Professor Tobru James Okwelia, Dr. Sunday Tas Nokune, Dr. Owen F. Afia, and Dr. Victor Bassi. I'm equally thankful to Professor Idomi Ngabri, Professor Jonas Akom, Professor Ro Agampie Abo, Dr. Julia Repan, the HOD, Dr. Jenowan, Dr. Beatrice Edinga, and all my colleagues in the Department of English and Literary Studies whose names are here. The names are not only here, they're also in my heart. I especially hail and thank my core team for their invaluable contributions to make this occasion a reality. Professor Joe Wishe, I call you again. Professor Idomi Ngabri, Mr. Dominic Okpenen, Dr. Augustinado, and Dr. Ojima Nathaniel. I thank members of the organizing committee and my friends whose sacrifices and encouragement have been the wind in my sail. Dr. Alex Timothy, Dr. Maxwell Bojo Ajukeba, Professor David Imwa, Dr. Boyd Baebe, Dr. Godwin Abuawushe, and Pastor Ade Abu. I also profound gratitude to all those in the support platform that dished out financial and moral support to the success of this inaugural lecture. Over 450 people made contributions. I do not know how to thank you. I recognize and acknowledge His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Cross River State, Right Honorable Peter Ode, who was supposed to be here, but official assignment took him away from town. Also, very appreciative of CP Gabriel Omaratong, retired, Reverend Father Professor Jacob Mangotonko, Dr. Chris Oga, Chief John George, Chief Thomas Odu, Professor Sandy Ono, Chief Peter Abangoje, PhD, Brigadier General Manik Senior, retired, Sir Brian Ekong, and Professor Ambassador Monica Ekong. Chief Patrick Siokim, Chief Joe A. Aras, Chief Joe A. Ware, Mr. Johnny Bello, Prince Arasabwe, Sir Mike A. Ibudu, Mr. and Mrs. Donato Sinyam, Supul Onas Oken, Professor James Edwe, Chief Dr. Padiogon, Comrade Simon Edwe, Chief Tom Atem, Chief Dr. Frank Bazubulem, Chief Abangano, Dr. Marantus of Igodola, and Ulomemung Johnson Ogwe. My children, Bright Stars 8th grade, I also acknowledge you. I'm grateful to my friend Dr. Benogon for the generosity of spirit. I thank Comrade and Mrs. Steve O'Ofrey, Mr. Matthias Unemke Anyoha, Commissioner for Industries, Chief Patrick Ikakiagbe, Uturomore Parawan, Barrister Jonas Otuabon, Director of Legal Services, Professor Mary Beke, Professor Sonny Akpabio, Professor Mogun Ajayi, and Professor Chukura, Professor Jeman Anabo, Professor Ngim, Dr. Gabriel Egbe, Dr. Gabriel Osa, Dr. Citizen Inyeko, Mr. Patrick A. Ebia of blessed memory. Father Cletus Sudom, my parish priest, Professor Inyobam Andy, Dr. Jim Peters, Professor Margaret Opia, and all my colleagues whose names are here. Please, yes. Let me thank very especially to the 12th Vice-Chancellor elect for his support, Professor Ofiong Efama Ofiong. Thank you very much, sir. I cannot fail to acknowledge the academic community, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, for providing me a unique opportunity to serve as secretary the time I did, and also as chairman. The union makes us strong. I'm very grateful to all of you, to the leadership at the different levels. Aluta continua to the I thank my wonderful colleagues, friends, and relations for always supporting and honoring me, and request that they forgive me for not mentioning their names here. I'm especially grateful to the Vice-Chancellor of Unicross, grateful to all my people whose names are here. I thank my classmates also. I thank Father Emiro, Dr. Innocent Abang, Father Albert Obi, who were my classmates and people who started the journey together. I'm very grateful to all of you. I'm grateful to my Kenjan family. I'm grateful to my family, and particularly my elder brother and only surviving sibling, Sir Matthias Eyang. Can you stand? Thank you. I'm very grateful to my cousins, and of course, one of them is here from Abuja, Princess Lucy Oge Ni Ode. Please can you stand? Representing the family of Utro, William Ode Ogwell. The Bube women, I salute you. Bube men organization, welfare organization, I salute you, all my colleagues who have supported me always. I am very appreciative of my children that God has put in my care. Wabili Tony Eyang, please can you stand? Thank you very much. I love you. And Lishani, can you stand? Thank you very much. This is the month of your birth. This is the month that you love and that I love naturally so much, as the month of your admission into medicine. God bless you. Can you just bow and say thank you? Yes. Thank you very much. Finally, with all my heart, I acknowledge my one and only wife, the woman who is everything in my life. Can you start, please? She is my #1 cheerleader, prayer warrior, woman of harmony, pure beauty, and a woman with foresight, a great planner and organizer, who has loved and tolerated and defended and inspired me, Mrs. Regina N.I.A. In my next incarnation I say, and in my next incarnation, I will look for you again. I love you more than I can ever demonstrate it. God has blessed me. Of course, I've already acknowledged my children. Finally, I thank God Almighty for His grace upon my life, for the blessings and abiding love. Madam Vice-Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, silver and gold I have none, but richer than Pluto's mine is my heart, which I extend to you in appreciation for being a manifestation of God's presence in my life. I have all of you inscribed on the moon of my heart. Thank you, and God bless you.
Well delivered. Well delivered.
May we be seated, please. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, once again to invite our Vice-Chancellor and Chairman of this occasion for the presentation of the inaugural lecture, booklets, and the exchange of memento.
I present to you, Madam Vice-Chancellor, a text of the 148th Inaugural Lecture by me, titled Wisdom from the Lower Kingdom, the Moral Universe and Stylistic Paradigms in Anthropomorphic Literature.
From the students of the University of Calabar and Management, I present to you for keeps and remembrance throughout your life as the 148th Inaugural Lecturer of the University of Calabar. There will be none other than you. 148. Congratulations.
May I invite the Chairman, Committee of Deans, Professor Ebebe Eyang, to give the vote of thanks.
The Vice-Chancellor and the Chairman of today's inaugural lecture, Professor Florence Banku Obi, and our very distinguished audience. We thank God Almighty for making the weather clement for us today to gather to listen to a professor profess. Our 148th inaugural lecturer has done justice to the topic. And sitting there, I was not tired at all listening to him speak. He has been able to prove to us that there is indeed wisdom from the lower kingdom that we morals can use to shape our moral principles. He has also been able to establish a tripartite triangle. The relationship between language, literature, and the society. While language remains a medium of communication, literature helps to project the wisdom from the lower kingdom. We appreciate you, sir, for a well-packaged delivery. Thank you so much. We appreciate our 11th Vice-Chancellor for always providing this opportunity for us to gather as academics. You can agree with me that the town has really met with the gown. Thank you, ma. Like I said during the last inaugural lecture, in the coming days, we are going to be sitting more frequently like this. We appreciate principal officers of the University of Calabar. All of them are here. And I want to especially congratulate and also appreciate our very own Professor Ofiong Ifanga Ofiong, the Vice-Chancellor designate, for finding time to be here with us. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. We appreciate the provost of colleges, former Vice-Chancellor in the house. I can see Professor Epoke. The former registrar is seated there. Emeritus professors in the house. We appreciate all of you. I appreciate all deans of faculties, directors of institute, especially the dean of the Faculty of Arts. You are beating me to it again, but I promise you that before the month is out, I will also have something to present from the Faculty of Physical Sciences. We thank all professors in the house, academics in Europe, members of the University of Calabar Senate. We appreciate all of you, the HOD and staff of the Department of English and Literary Studies. Thank you for giving our inaugural lecturer an enabling environment to be able to profess and be able to stand here today. I will not forget the family of our distinguished 148th inaugural lecturer. Thank you, family, for also providing the environment for him. The friend of the inaugural lecturer, we appreciate you. I can see some people that were busy pronouncing those words, reading those proverbs, the Mbube people. I can feel you from here. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you.
We thank all the director and staff of the Development Division, the staff of the Information Unit of the University of Calabar. We appreciate the staff of the Security Unit. We appreciate members of the University of Calabar community for finding time to come. We appreciate the gentlemen of the press, Malabais and Malabreses. Thank you so much for coming, and we pray that as you go back home, God will grant you journey mercies to your destination. Thank you, and thank you again. God bless you.
May I invite the chairman of this occasion, Professor Florence Banku Obi, to give her closing remarks.
Thank you, my registrar, wisdom from the lower kingdom. While the 148th Inaugural Lecturer was delivering his lecture, I just remembered and recalled my days in University of Jos. We had one lecturer, Professor Ojo Ade, who was a professor of folklore. And I remember that he was taking us in GSS. His lecture then used to be 6 a.m. And we live in Naraguta, and you have to trek. For some of us who have no money to buy the bus ticket, we'll get up by 4 o'clock and start trekking to Naraguta to catch 6 o'clock lecture. And when we get there, everybody, all the students, in fact, no student will ever love to miss that lecture. Because from beginning to end, the man will be telling us about folklore, Nigerian folklore, stories about what our brother said, anthropomorphic literature. And we enjoyed it. Growing up as a young girl, I actually thought moral lessons were just embedded in animals. Because then our parents would sit us down in the evening and start telling you stories, folklores. All at the end of it all, you must go home or go to bed with a moral lesson. Then we learn more moral lessons from stories told to us from animals, the lower kingdom. And today, I want to appreciate Professor Tony Eyang for taking us back to reminding us that indeed there is wisdom from the lower kingdom. Congratulations for a lecture well delivered. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, next Wednesday, 12th of November, is another lecture. This time around, from a man who has tagged himself the 4th DVC in Unical, even when we don't have appointment letter for him. DVC Dubok, Professor Chris Chukura. Please, let's give a date again, and let's come out in our numbers, just like we did today, to honor Professor Chris Chukura. Thank you as you go back. Thank you.